Hello televiewers, and thank you for joining us once again on this other edition of The Brief live on My Media Prime Television, the program where we get to dig several layers beneath the major headlines as captured by the newspapers in Cameroon. On today's edition of the program, we are focusing on the press conference of the Confederation of African Football that was given yesterday at the Amadou Ahidjo Stadium following the stampede, which led to the death of several Cameroonians as the ongoing African Cup of Nations Total Energies is taking place in the country. We shall analyze the press conference as being captured by newspapers today in Cameroon. Bomotonguina Gwadys is here with us as usual. Let's have what she gathered for us in the French newspaper. Bonjour Gwadys.
Bonjour Lasha. Bonjour à vous. Merci de rester fidèle à Debrief, votre émission bilingue de revue de presse sur ma Media Prime Télévision. Alors ce matin, nous débutons avec le journal Le Jour qui nous parle de la CAN Total et Énergie Cameroun 2021. La CAF qui suspend le stade d'Olembe. La fermeture provisoire du stade est annoncée en attendant les résultats de l'enquête sur la tragédie qui a coûté la vie à 8 personnes lundi dernier. Les détails sont en page 5 de ce journal. Nous continuons ce matin avec le journal L'Info à chaud qui parle de l'accident au stade d'Olembe lundi dernier, parlant d'une possible colère des autochtones. Le stade d'Olembe serait-il maudit? C'est la question que pose le confrère ce matin. Les détails sont donc en page 3 de ce journal. En page 2, le président de la CAF dénonce les failles du COCAN. Toujours pour parler de l'incident du stade d'Olembe lundi dernier lors du match des Lions indomptables. Nous continuons ce matin avec le journal La Nouvelle Expression qui parle lui aussi de ce drame d'Olembe comme un mauvais sort. Tel est intitulé le grand titre de notre journal La Nouvelle Expression ce matin. Les détails sont en page 5 de ce journal. En page 3, le journal parle d'un mort dans l'attaque d'un lycée à Bamboutos. Nous terminons ce matin avec le journal Mutation qui nous parle lui aussi du drame d'Olembe. Quelles sont les responsabilités autour de la mort de ces 8 personnes? La CAF qui délocalise les matchs prévus dans cette Arsène jusqu'au rétablissement de la sécurité. Les détails sont donc en page 3 de ce journal. Mesdames, Messieurs, c'est sur ces mots que nous arrêtons cette revue de presse en langue française. Place à la découverte de ces journaux en langue anglaise avec toi, Lasha.
Thank you, Bomotonguina Gwadys. Let's kickstart this morning with the Guardian Post newspaper. The Guardian Post newspaper, like I earlier mentioned in my introduction, is focusing on the press conference of the Confederation of African Football, CAF, that has suspended the Yaoundé Olembe Stadium from use in the ongoing Total Energies African Cup of Nations, AFCON. And the CAF President, Dr. Patrice Motsepe, announced the suspension during a press conference at the Amadou Ahidjo Stadium yesterday. The suspension, Motsepe said, is in reaction to the Monday, January 24 stampede at the sports facility where 8 persons died and over 37 injured or seriously injured in the incident. Responding to questions from journalists, Motsepe detailed that the multi-billion 60,000-seater Olembe Stadium would only be used when a thorough investigation must have been conducted into the stampede. He said findings will be made public latest Friday, January 28, 2022. On page 8 of this edition of the paper, we are told that Cameroon has once again been ranked amongst world's most corrupt countries. According to the paper, she has once again been classified amongst the world's most corrupt nations in the world, despite efforts to curb the social ill. According to a global ranking released yesterday by Transparency International, TI Cameroon is ranked 144 out of 180 countries on the Bodies of Corruption Perception Index for 2021. Let's stay with the Guardian Post newspaper to talk about Anglophone crisis, where suspected amber attack in the west region of Cameroon leaves a soldier dead and Classes disrupted in one of the government high schools in that area. The paper tells us that the attack by gunmen believed to be Ambazonia fighters left a soldier dead and others injured in the locality of Galim subdivision of the Bambutos division, west region of Cameroon at about 9:30, according to the paper. That was yesterday. Over 30 heavily armed men on motorbikes were spotted heading to government high school Baneh in Galim, bordering the restive northwest region of Cameroon. According to the paper, soldiers are stationed at the entrance of the premises are said to have opened fire on a group leading to a shootout between them and the assailants. More details on page 5 of this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. And still on page 5, we are told that government is under fresh pressure to free Anglophone detainees and political prisoners. The fresh pressure is coming from the UK-based leading rights group Amnesty International. And on page 10 of this edition of the paper, we are told that the Nigerian authorities have raised alarm that Ambazonia fighters are setting up camps in Calabar. The alarm was raised by the controller of immigration services in Cross River State in Nigeria, Chris Baiki. He's equally requested members of the public to volunteer about infiltration, resident status, and activities of immigrants in their communities. Credible Nigerian newspaper or media organs are reporting that there have been security concerns following a revelation by the State Commissioner of Police that Animi Alassane, that Ambazonia separatist fighters and the independent peoples of Biafra have their terrorists camp in Calabar, Cross River State, as the paper report. We end this morning with the Voice newspaper, which is interested in the release of some members of Stand Up for Cameroon. According to the paper, 4 members of the coalition of civil society organizations and political parties who spent over 16 months in prison have finally been released. The paper is also reporting on the tragic nightclub fire incident in Yaoundé that led to the death of at least 18 persons, and President Paul Biya has equally ordered for a probe into the fire or the nightclub explosion that killed some top government officials, especially the Director of Security at the Yaoundé Simalène International Airport. Thank you for watching, televiewers. We are back in the studio to continue with our discussions this morning. And joining us on the program is the National Communications Secretary to the Popular Action Party, Baneh Elvis Njine. He's joining us from the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. Good morning, Elvis, and thank you for joining us as usual.
Good morning, Mr. Lasha. Good morning to your co-panelist, presenter Gwadys in the studio. Good morning to all the viewers of My Prime.
Yesterday, the Confederation of African Football, led by Patrice Motsepe, apparently washed its hands of the incident which happened at the Olembe Sports Complex in Yaoundé, saying that CAF's responsibility is to advise government, and it is not CAF's responsibility to see over security, but that of the local organizing committee. What is your reaction to the press conference yesterday by Patrice Motsepe?
Okay, let me begin by saying that the lines are not too clear, so I don't know if I actually got your question clearly. But what I would say here is that I think there is a certain game that is ongoing between CAF, Kokan, Fekafut, and maybe the state of Cameroon, in the sense that nobody seems to want to take responsibility for what happened, because, like you clearly say, the president of CAF denies responsibility, and he thinks that it is Kokan that was supposed to have maybe taken care of security as far as the stadium was concerned. But when we listen to the president of Fekafut, he says it is CAF that entirely organizes its competition. So what I would simply say here is that what happened already happened, and it's very, very unfortunate that we lost compatriots simply went out there as pictures to support their team and lead to victory. What I would simply therefore add is that I think all these bodies that the CAF, Kokan, Kafut, or the state of Cameroon, they should simply learn from what has happened and step out measures such that for the subsequent matches to be played in the other states across the nation, no such thing should be able to happen again.
Now let's talk about the responsibility, the civic behaviors of Cameroonians. When you go jumping over the fence of the stadium, what do you think you are doing actually, Baneh? Do they need to be told that they are not supposed to do that?
Can you come again, please? The line
I'm
is not clear.
asking now the responsibility of Cameroon. Apparently, everybody has watched, its hands over the issue. I'm talking about the responsibility of Cameroonians, especially those who went jumping over the fence of the stadium.
Mr. Lasha, I am not getting the questions clear, but I've heard something about the responsibility of Cameroonians jumping over the fence. I would say here that you have to do civic education, if that is what the question is all about. It has to do with civic education, and I would say therefore that while the competition is still ongoing, I think the authorities and all other agencies that have communicating for the tournament, they should take it as a responsibility to sensitize Cameroonians the more. People should act more responsibly, because if it had been that way, at least what happened should not have happened at the Olympic Stadium. It's true that it was not quite pleasing, the videos we saw of people who were jumping over the fences and over. I would rather advise it too, because based on what some of us have heard, I don't know how after that is, that maybe the gates open late and so people were on pressure to get to the stadium. I would advise that the gates open quite ahead of time to give people the room to present themselves and the stadium freely before the matches actually begin. So if that is what you are pushing on, I think that's what I can say. Cameroonians should be conscientized, and of course, like I mentioned on security, measures to ensure to be to it that people get to know on time and they have access to the stadium before the matches actually begin.
Gwadys.
Est-ce que il est normal que le stade d'Olymbe soit suspendu? Parce qu'au regard des vidéos que nous avons eues, c'est les Camerounais qui ont décidé de grimper sur ces barrières. C'est pas comme si c'est le gouvernement qui leur avait demandé de grimper sur les barrières en question. Est-ce que la suspension du stade d'Olymbe est véritablement méritée?
Hello?
Yes, we are asking if the suspension of the Olymbe or matches at the Olymbe stadium, Cameroon really merits that.
If the matches can be played.
Right on, Elvis.
Hello?
Yes, move on. Apparently, we're having difficulties with our lines this morning. Elvis, are you still there? We are asking if Cameroon merits the suspension of Olymbe Stadium, knowing fully well that what happened has happened. Do we really merit that?
Well, I think in taking that decision, they have the reasons why this go. So I would not want to go to actually see whether Cameroon merit or not exactly took into consideration, but based on what the president, I think if the security measures are kept up and maybe they have that in the stadium with matches. So I just some sort of the need to ensure that the stadium is secured and that the lives of the people are get there. So I think, like I said, I will not go to this without knowing exactly what the situation to have it just. But I think that if I take to ensure the lives of people to work, I will be okay, and the stadium will be open for other matches for the tournament.
Okay, we'll come back to you, Elvis. Gwadys, there is equally...
Okay.
Yeah, we'll come back to you, Elvis. Stay with Gwadys in the studio. We'll come back to you while your lines are being rectified. We're talking about this alarm raised by the authorities, the Nigerian authorities, that the Ambazonians and the Biafra, the people independent of Biafra, they have set up camps, terrorist camps at Cross River State. Is it a worry to these two countries?
Effectivement, là, chacun sait, lorsqu'on parle de violence, il faut toujours être inquiété. Lorsqu'on parle des groupes de terroristes, il faut toujours être inquiété.
Because last time we saw their leader, they went into an alliance with the Ambazonians, I mean the leader of the independent people of Biafra. They went into an alliance with Ambazonia. And now the Commissioner for Immigration has raised an alarm that so many camps have been set up at the Cross River State in Nigeria.
Effectivement, je pense qu'il est grand temps pour ces deux États de trouver une solution. Moi, j'ai un problème particulier avec les États africains, c'est que lorsque un est touché, chacun reste de son côté. Jusqu'à ce que ce soit toi qui sois touché, tant pis, on s'en fout. Mais je pense qu'au jour d'aujourd'hui, si tous les États africains, parce qu'il faut le dire, là, chaque liste, c'est toute l'Afrique, tous les États africains de l'Afrique noire qui sont touchés par des crises et des attaques et consorts, des coups d'État. On a vu dernièrement au Burkina Faso. Je pense qu'au jour d'aujourd'hui, il est grand temps que nos dirigeants s'asseyent et commencent à réfléchir pour le bien des Africains.
Some of these terrorists are being nurtured by the same politicians who want to gain power, and once they're in power, it becomes very difficult for them to contain some of these.
Justement, on les connaît. Ceux qui sont des dirigeants connaissent ceux qui tiennent les ficelles. Ils connaissent que d'une manière ou d'une autre, c'est telle ou telle personne qui tient les ficelles et ils connaissent comment résoudre le problème. Le véritable problème ici, c'est que ces dirigeants n'ont pas en eux l'esprit d'équipe. Ils sont restés avec la division des colons et au jour d'aujourd'hui, on en paye les frais. Si on se retrouve avec peut-être les séparatistes qui vont faire alliance avec les rebelles au Nigeria, il y a problème. Ça veut dire que les deux États sont déjà en danger. Plus que jusqu'au jour d'aujourd'hui, on n'a pas pu résoudre le problème du Nigeria. On n'a pas pu arrêter ces terroristes-là du Nigeria. Et au jour d'aujourd'hui, on n'a pas pu encore arrêter la crise anglophone avec les séparatistes. Et si les deux font coalition, ça devient un gros problème pour ces deux pays. Il faudrait bien qu'on...
breed of Boko Haram, maybe even more than Boko Haram.
Bah, effectivement. Et du coup, la véritable question ici à se poser, c'est à qui est-ce que tout ceci profite? Lorsqu'on identifie à qui est-ce que ça profite, on saura comment trouver la solution. Au jour d'aujourd'hui, je pense que le Nigeria et le Cameroun doivent se serrer les coudes, doivent faire tout pour résoudre ce problème. Au cas contraire, on va se retrouver avec les mêmes situations qu'on voit dans tous les autres pays avec les coups d'État.
Okay, I don't know if Elvis is back. Elvis, are you there?
I'm there, Mr. Lasha.
Okay, I was saying that the Guardian Post raised a very important issue this morning, talking about an alliance that has been formed between the independent peoples of Biafra and Ambazonia, and the Commissioner for Immigration in Cross River State in Nigeria has said that the terrorists have set up camps in that part of the country. So he raised the concern recently, calling on his government to do something. We lost him, Gwadys.
Yeah.
So now, is this not another big headache for the government of Cameroon, knowing fully well what Boko Haram is doing up north, when they leave from Nigeria, come into the country, attack, and then they go back?
C'est un gros problème, c'est un poids lourd vraiment pour l'État camerounais si effectivement cette alliance a eu lieu, parce que si jusqu'au jour d'aujourd'hui on n'a pas pu stopper les séparatistes de procéder dans tout ce qu'ils sont en train de faire, à combien plus forte raison lorsqu'ils sont en alliance avec un autre groupe.
And another issue is that we have very porous border with Nigeria, long porous borders, and these guys get into the country. And it's very difficult to control them. Very difficult.
Il est même carrément vraiment compliqué de contrôler ou bien de faire véritablement la différence entre les Nigériens et les Camerounais, surtout à ce niveau-là. Parce que la majorité des Camerounais là-bas parlent en anglais, la majorité des Nigériens, c'est toujours l'anglais. Donc du coup, il y a un problème de, je sais pas moi trop, il sera complètement difficile pour l'État camerounais de véritablement résoudre ce problème-là seul. Il faudrait une coalition entre les deux chefs d'État.
What should they be doing, Gwadys?
Les deux chefs d'État doivent s'entendre et trouver une solution.
Or are they talking about dialogue? What should they do concretely? Because military option apparently is failing.
Lasha Kinsley, si effectivement on me fait croire que le process avec les militaires a échoué, ça voudrait dire que notre formation militaire a un problème. Parce que si effectivement on a des services d'élite au Cameroun, ils peuvent être capables, au Cameroun et au Nigeria, ils peuvent être capables de stopper ces gars. Comment est-ce qu'on m'explique que les pays européens, quand ils ont peut-être des attaques terroristes, ils réussissent à localiser ces terroristes-là, à les neutraliser? Comment est-ce qu'on m'explique ça? Et quelle est la formation qu'eux, ils reçoivent et quelle est la formation que nos militaires ici en Afrique reçoivent? Ça voudrait dire que simplement, il faut peut-être revoir notre formation militaire.
Because we are dealing with an enemy that is not known.
L'ennemi,
you cannot easily identify who is an Ambazonia
Lasha
or who is a Boko Haram.
Lasha, je pense que tous les États au jour d'aujourd'hui travaillent avec des histoires qu'on appelle les drones et consorts. Ils ont les détections, on appelle ça comment contrôle des populations. Je suis sûr qu'au Cameroun, tout ce que tu es en train de faire, Lasha Kinsley, ils connaissent. Même quand tu es chez toi, les gars connaissent ce que tu es en train de faire. Donc, ils ne peuvent pas me dire qu'ils ne connaissent pas comment localiser ces différents groupes terroristes. S'ils ne connaissaient pas comment faire pour les localiser, comment est-ce qu'ils ont fait pour savoir que les deux groupes sont rentrés en coalition? Comment est-ce qu'ils ont fait pour savoir qu'il y a plusieurs camps qui se sont créés? Alors, s'ils savent qu'il y a plusieurs camps qui se sont... Non, Lasha Kinsley. S'ils connaissent que les camps se sont créés, ça voudrait simplement dire qu'ils connaissent où ces camps se trouvent. Et s'ils connaissent où ces camps se trouvent, il faudrait donc qu'ils trouvent la solution pour résoudre le problème. Simplement, on revient donc à ce que j'ai dit au départ. Si arriver dans ces camps est le problème, ça voudrait dire que notre système de formation de nos équipes d'élite a un problème. Et il faudrait revoir cela. Parce que si on regarde dans les pays occidentaux, si on regarde aux États-Unis, lorsqu'on connaît qu'il y a peut-être une attaque terroriste qui se prépare quelque part, il y a un groupe d'élite, il y a on appelle ça comment? Un groupe d'élite, moi je vais le dire comme ça parce que je connais pas bien les choses de l'armée, mais il y a un groupe d'élite qui vont directement à cette base pour stopper les activités de ce groupe de terroristes. Alors, comment on m'explique qu'on connaît où les gars ont créé les camps, mais on n'arrive pas à stopper?
About Nui, we've seen that in Bui, where a notorious general comes out, brandish himself and say, Bui is a no-go area for the military. If any military coming into Bui, to sign their death warrant before coming.
Ça ne devrait pas exister. Soit il y a soit il y a un lassisme, soit il y a, je sais pas moi quoi, une désinvolture, ou alors même ces personnes-là qui sont censées stopper sont parmi ces gens, parce qu'on ne peut pas concevoir qu'on connaît où les camps sont positionnés, mais on ne peut pas résoudre le problème. Ça n'a aucun sens.
Ça n'a aucun sens, Gladys. Thank you very much. Thank you to Baneh Elvis for coming, though our lines were not the best today. Hopefully, we'll have you some other time to give your opinion on what is happening in Cameroon and around the world. And thank you to televiewers of My Media Prime Television for taking out time to watch this other edition of The Brief, which was produced for us by our very vibrant technician, Tebong, Christain, and we were Bomotonguina, Gwadys, and myself, Lasha Kinsley. Tomorrow is another day. Bye-bye.
No matter our differences, Ndambana peace. No matter the side we choose, Ndambana joy. With Orange Bonus, data and voice bundles, become the king of the AFCON Total Energy Cameroon 2020.